Cal in Wales. Cal,
hey,
you're
guys,
talking to Eric and Jamie.
Can you hear me?
Hello, hello. Yes. Jamie took my caffeine.
There's a little bit of delay. How are you guys anyway?
I'm doing good. I am jittery and caffeinated.
Jittery as fuck.
And
there wasn't much of an intro today, guys. I mean, you said Beauty mentioned Jamie's president or something. What was that all about?
Oh, the Atheist Community of Austin has elections every year for its board and
I was reelected president.
Yeah, I'm sitting next to El Jefe.
Congratulations or commiserations?
It's congratulations.
Yeah, it's
I ran, I wanted it, and I got what I wanted. So,
which one of you was talking about a bill of health anyway? Was it you, Eric?
Yeah, that's
talking about having a fit bill of health.
Yeah.
Why did you mention that? Was you not well?
Yeah.
Not been well?
No, that's okay. I'm okay talking about it. Right. So I've talked on the show before about the fact that I have clinical depression.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes it rears its ugly head and takes me down for a little while. The good news is I'm employed by the ACA that is incredibly positive and supportive when it comes to taking care of me. And so about 2 weeks ago...
So you believe you're getting the correct help right now?
I do. Medication and cognitive behavioral therapy has been helping me a lot. And I'm really, really happy that I've got the support and love of some amazing people. So, but other than that...
Well, that's great. You've got positive stuff in it.
I do.
Positive, yeah.
Yeah. Outside of that, it gets kind of personal. I don't want to get too deep into it, but yeah.
But speaking of getting deep into personal things, I believe you called in because you want to talk about your beliefs in a god or gods.
Yes. What would you like to talk about today? That is very considerate, though, for you to jump in and ask.
I particularly describe one god, but I probably believe there's more out there. It's hard to discuss. I don't fully know what I believe, but I guess that's what belief is, right? I mean, could we discuss some of the things? Because I know something's going to make you happy. I do want to be I'm a repeat caller. I want to call you next week and the week after and the week after, because what I want to unpack is so large, I don't think we could do it in just a day. Is that something you guys would be interested in?
It totally depends on what you want to talk about and whether or not that's something that fits our show and is interesting and exciting. So let's start here.
Atheist experience, which means you don't believe in a god. Is that correct?
Well, that's kind of
to be clear, so you're on Talk Heathen.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
we're the sister show of the Atheist Experience.
To me. What is the differences anyway? What would you say the difference between your show and the Atheist Experience actually is?
We take our time, we have repeat callers.
This is Eric Murphy and Jamie Boone, and there's your difference.
What did you say?
So Jamie jumped in because he was making the point that we are the same hosts every time.
Yeah.
We're more patient, we take repeat callers. If somebody wants to call in about a philosophical argument, we try and address throughout what the argument is and why it is, and we don't just jump into things because we want people to be able to learn with us and explore these things together.
No, that's brilliant, because well, that's why I've rung you today, guys.
Let's get into it.
38 years of my life. For 38 years of my life, I've been an atheist, and I mean that. Not just I do.
Congratulations.
Christians ring up and pretend that they were atheists, and I could tell straight away that they're pretending they used to be atheists. Something about it just doesn't ring true for me. But like I literally was from a young age. All my family are atheists. All my friends have been born. We're atheists. I'm trying to convince my boy. Can I give him a big shout out? His name is Skinners. Can I give him a shout out? He's watching right now, probably.
Yeah.
Okay, hey, Skinners. In fact, can you both guys do it with me? Can you say a big hey to Skinners? Big hey, Skinners.
No, because that stuff's been taken out of context and gotten really weird. I'd rather not.
Yeah,
but
and I'm not entirely...
Hi, Cal's friend.
Yeah, not entirely familiar with the slang of Wales. So I don't know what that means in Cardiff. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, I actually want to jump in really quick before we go, because you've talked about what we believe as atheists and how you were an atheist. So let's make sure that we agree on the definition together, right? So when we talk about atheism, we're talking about assessing the theist claim, right? And were you listening to the last call?
I was, yeah, but mostly towards the beginning. Sure. I took some notes down. I got my notepad here and that ready, but I didn't. Nice. I saw... So off towards the end.
Well, here's the thing. With Alice, she was saying that she believed some things in the Bible and other things were, you know, not necessarily true things that happened, that they could have been poetry or allegory. And so we can actually take a look at that. And if I were to write that out, that would be a set of beliefs about a God, right? But I could go to a different religion and say, do you accept this set of beliefs? And they'll, oh, no, that wasn't all allegory, that was all literal. And that's a different set of beliefs, right? And so we can go back and, oh, no, all of it was metaphor. Oh, okay, so that's a different set. And so what we're left with is needing to evaluate each person's claim about whether or not that set of belief is true and justified. And
that's right, yes, sir.
Because of that, if I were to say there are no gods, what I would be doing is I would be completely cutting myself off to a definition that somebody might someday be able to show. And that would be, the intellectually honest position would be to say that we're going to withhold belief until we see the evidence for that belief that justifies it.
And so, it's true to say that you don't know a God doesn't exist and you don't know a God does exist. You stand on the side of just disbelief. Due to the fact that there's no evidence to prove that there is a God?
I think saying no God or God's, a God doesn't exist doesn't really get us very far, because I could say that about Thor, but that doesn't necessarily mean it about everything else.
He's saying he's using the word no with a K, I think. Well, you know that a God.
Oh. Yeah, well, we can get into knowledge and all of that, but just to kind of give a generic response to how we classify atheism, right? So we say we're atheists because we have not yet come across a religious or God claim that we've found to be, to have sufficient evidence. So
is that what atheist means, or is that the way you perceive the word atheism?
In the movement that we're in, that appears to be generally the term everybody uses. And really, people argue about agnosticism and atheism. As long as we all understand what each other means, I really don't care. Just as long as we're having a fruitful conversation. So
this is what I want to try and achieve through this talk with you today, guys, is just to get to the bottom of what we believe different things are. For me, knowing something and believing something are two different things. Do you guys believe that, or is this?
Yes.
Is that accurate?
There's also a distinction between the way that I use those words.
Yeah, so if I know something to be true and I can prove it 100% and show you and you can agree with me, then would we say that was knowing something?
I mean, pedantically, I'm going to be a little bit of a butthead, but generally in the bigger scope of things, I mean, if you could prove it, let's go with that.
Yeah, butthead is the technical
I think if we couldn't prove something, what does that fall under?
That falls under I don't know. Some things can be disproven, right? But if you don't know, then the intellectually honest thing to do is say I don't know. And I say it's the most intellectually honest thing because it's difficult for people to say I don't know. And
no, I find it very simple, but I do believe there's a lot of people that do struggle with the word I don't know.
Agreed.
I find it's one of the easiest sentences I can say.
But we're teeing up to something, and I feel like we should jump into it. Let's get into what you want to say.
Oh no, I understand, but I do feel that jumping into some things, is a wrong step to take, especially if there's a build-up that needs to be made. And I feel a lot of these conversations, where they break down, is because there's no build-up between the two people having these conversations. Well, which is why I said I'll be glad to ring back at some point. What I want to do is have a full depth understanding of what you guys believe and what you guys know.
Well,
so that's all.
Cool. So what do you believe?
Right now, and then we'll go into something.
Yeah. Do you believe that a God exists, Cal? I mean, I know that you're asking.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Can you tell us about that God? What's your favorite color?
Say again?
What's your God's favorite color?
Do they have a penis?
I have no idea what his favorite color is.
You're trying to set me up with everyone.
I use the word his because I'm a he, and it's comfortable for me to use the word his and nothing. I mean, my particular belief, my particular God, I mean, my God has nothing to do with my morality or anything like that. I mean, I believe in the same God most religions used to believe in until it got the way it is today. And
that's one hell of a claim that I've heard a lot of people. To be our
creator and our God.
That's one hell of a claim I've heard a lot of people make. We're still teeing up. Can you give us anything that we can work with? Are there any qualities or characteristics that the God that you believe in has that we can look at?
So, give me an example. What do you mean?
Jamie said their favorite color, right? Did they say anything? Do we have any proof? Is there any mark that they've left that we can test whether or not that God exists? Is there anything tangible, or is there anything at all that we can do to point toward whether or not your belief is justified and true?
Did you hear what I said I thought my God was?
Yes, you said you thought your God was the same God that a bunch of other religions thought before they got all messed up.
No, I said that God was the Son. It might be the accent. The Son.
You believe that the Son is God?
No, I believe he's my God. I don't believe he is.
Okay, so
how many
hold on.
gods do you believe exist?
No, wait.
Because you said my God, not God.
Yeah, we can put a pin really quickly in this Son.
Is your God just Son? The Son?
So does your God do anything other than provide light?
Provide light?
Yes.
He provides life.
Light. Energy, the actual sun that we see in the sky, is that
light and heat?
Is your God sentient? Does your God have commandments about anything?
I have no idea if my God is sentient. All I know is that
see,
like I said, I have no idea.
Cal, thank you.
Sentient.
No, this is perfect, because you have just defined a God. I think the word God is a silly word to use when describing the Son, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you can't. But what I'll say is, if you say that God, that's your God, then I'll look up and go, hey, the Son's there, the Son exists. Good job. Mm-hmm. We agree. Okay, the Son exists. I would not use the word God, because the word God has a lot of baggage. Right? And when we take a look and say, well, this is a God, then, usually there are ideas of the afterlife and morality and ethics.
But you're saying that God drags a lot of baggage.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that.
Well, are you aware
you
that...
You don't believe in a God, so...
He's talking about the word God. When you use the word God in conversation, people don't generally mean, oh, you mean the Son?
I'm talking to you, not people. I'm talking to you. What do you think the word God means?
We hear the word God used in a wide variety of ways, particularly on this show, and it just got a little bit wider because you say it means the Son.
Speaking to me.
Okay.
He's
Cal?
speaking to them on me. So
Cal?
I'm saying...
No, hold on. Cal?
The reason he's saying that to
Jamie,
you
hold on.
is because he's saying you will confuse people when you're talking to them.
Yeah,
why would you call it that?
We're trying to help
anyone.
Yeah, which is why I wanted the bigger build-up.
Okay.
That's exactly why I wanted a big build-up and explain.
We all want a big build-up.
But you guys wanted to jump into it.
Okay, but what's confusing is I don't care about, like, this entire conversation is about whether or not we should be accepting supernatural things, what people think about them and all of that. If you're saying that your God is not supernatural, it's just the existence of the Son, then Cal, stop. I agree with you. What else? Is there anything else to this conversation of substance?
Oh, yes, of course. Like I said, I didn't really want to talk about God. I'm just a theist that called up to talk to you guys about things that I believe in and want things I want to change in this world. And
so what of substance do you want to bring up other than this?
You mean like qualities like spirituality, morality, them kind of things?
Are they word games that you're using to redefine and say that it doesn't matter? Or do you actually have some substance here?
It depends on what you mean. I don't understand.
He's trying to understand what your question is.
Sure.
Honestly.
So honestly, if we're going to argue about whether or not this mug that I'm holding in my hand exists and how you define it, and while you're not talking to, I really don't care. Okay, the mug exists. We're done. I really don't have more that I want to add to it, because otherwise it's just mental masturbation. We're actually looking at effects on things, impact on things. So is there something that you're saying about morality and ethics that, has... What about it? I'm trying to dig for substance here.
Right, and so I believe there's a lot of truths in religions that are there that we just bypass. For example, let's give a good example. Born in sin, for example. Do you guys believe we're born in sin?
No, because when you're talking about sin, you're talking about the story at the very beginning of the Christian Bible of the Garden of Eden. What do you think sin is, Kyle?
What I think sin is? I think sin is just immorality, like an immoral...
Okay,
then it's a word game. I'm done. You good?
No, hold on.
Okay.
This is now... Cal, at one point you said that when you say God, you mean the Son, and that it provides life, right?
Yes.
Do you mean the literal sun? the star around which our solar system revolves, and it's called the solar system because the name of our star is Sol. That.
Yes, that.
So what the fuck does the Garden of Eden have to do with anything?
I'm not talking about the Garden of Eden.
No,
where does original sin come from? Where does born in sin? What does that mean?
He's redefining sin.
This is what I'm trying to discuss.
Okay. Sorry. I thought you were saying, but also I believe in original sin.
He's redefined sin to mean something that is not.
What does sin mean to you? When you say the word sin, what do you mean?
He said immorality.
Right. So I can only explain what I mean because I can't find the words.
All right.
Can I just explain what I mean? Is that
yes,
okay?
Please. Sorry.
Right, so, for example, when I was born, I was taught, for example, to eat meat, to eat dairy products, that kind of thing. Like, I don't know if I mentioned that I'm a vegan now because I believe that stuff is immoral.
Oh, dear, sweet baby Jesus.
Why didn't you start with that religion?
I said I was a vegan. What happened there? I said I was a vegan. You said,
sorry. It's a joke because we're going to get a lot of flack and hate.
Do you know how many vegans hate us? We've gotten out from under this, Cal.
Not as many.
You know what you've done?
Not as many as hate
what you've done.
We're joking with you, Cal. We're not actually upset. We're just joking with you.
Why do vegans? Why do they hate you?
Because we eat meat.
Yeah, because we eat meat, and this is not talk vegan.
It's about morality, right?
So but regardless, you said sin. That word has baggage. If you say I don't care about it, I'm just going to continue. Hold on, Cal. If you're going to say I don't care about it, and I'm just going to continue to use this word that has plenty of other words, and confuse things, I'm done. I don't care. This is a word game. This has zero substance to me, and it doesn't feel like there's anything we're learning as much as we are just learning about the way Cal defines things, and that is not interesting.
Well, can we talk about them?
No.
Cal.
No, I don't want to talk about the way you define things.
Okay, so
I want to know,
Cal,
right?
What you've said is that people are born in immorality. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
That's right, yes.
Can you describe specifically what that sentence means? Do you just mean that, the act of giving birth is immoral?
No. I am born into a world that teaches me immoral teachings. Yeah?
Okay.
And now I've become an adult, and I'm starting to understand more about these immoral teachings. I'm wondering, why was we taught them in the first place?
That has nothing to do with sin.
It depends on the teachings. It's because other people believed that they were good or true and communicated that to you with the desire that you believe the same thing.
He's throwing you down a trail. He started at sin.
I'm dragging him.
For example.
Why?
Because I can see where the value of.
You were supposed to bring balance to the forest, Jamie. You're going down a path that I cannot follow.
Well, then let me take him on. All right,
fine.
All right. So sorry, you were asking why someone would want you to believe these things that you now evaluate to be immoral.
Yes.
Okay. Did the answer that I gave provide something of an explanation?
Which answer?
The answer where I said because other people believed the moral teachings they were teaching you were moral and wanted you to subscribe to them.
I would believe that, but I spoke to my mum and I spoke to my teachers, and all of them have said the same thing. They're only teaching what they know, and even though I speak to them now and ask them, are these things immoral, they kind of close themselves off and they won't answer the question. I mean, the main one I asked them...
Welcome to my life.
Not about them, but this is what I'm saying. The majority of the world that I know, not the majority of the world, because I don't know the majority of the world I know, that I brought them in, is a very sinful world. And I'm looking for an escape from this sinful world.
So when you're saying it's a sinful world, do you mean that people are doing things that you believe are immoral?
No, people are doing things I believe everyone believes are immoral. They just won't admit it.
For example?
Eating meat.
Okay, so not everyone believes that that's immoral.
No, they don't believe it. But if I ask you questions on it, surely we could get to some sort of... I can get you to immorality. It's a simple question asking. Can I try a thought process? One last thought process to see if you understand where I'm coming from. If you don't, then we can either end it or try again another time, or maybe talk about something else. Whatever your call is. So, for example, I pose this question to many people, and I've even posed it to myself, which is why I changed my stance on it. We're talking about one thing, and that is about eating meat being immoral, and this is the world we live in. Now, the immoral stance on eating meat is for example, if the laws changed, and it was like, it's up to you whether you give your children cigarettes and alcohol. And my daughter comes to me and said, Dad, can I smoke cigarettes and have alcohol? She's 3 years old. I'd tell her no. And every parent I've spoken to have all said the same thing. No, I would never give this to my child. And I said, what if that child says, I like the taste of cigarettes and alcohol, and I'll only have one a day? And then I'd still say no.
Yeah.
And yet doctors tell me, and studies show me, that eating meat has, a much more detrimental effect on their health. It's addictive. It's not just meat in some of these products. Chicken nuggets, all these things we feed our kids.
You see what you've done, Jamie?
What the stuff?
So I'm sorry. Is your assertion that the consensus of medical science is that meat is, 1, addictive, and 2, detrimental, at least in the same league as cigarettes and alcohol?
I don't care. What does this have to do with sin?
You're good.
It has to do with morality, doesn't it? If we are still doing this to our youth, that's an immoral act.
That's
and we tell ourselves it's immoral, but we say it's
yes,
not immoral.
But so you've made this assertion, and you've made this assertion that, oh, I bring this up, and people will accept that it's immoral, and they do it anyway, and it's a sinful world. No, you failed to persuade me that eating meat or allowing a child to eat meat is immoral. I'd tell a child not to eat roadkill.
Against his health.
Raw.
What I'm saying is to do something that's against his health and the welfare of being of this animal is immoral, right? So for me to feed my child meat, that is dangerous for that child.
I mean, you've said something, doing this is immoral, right? And I said no, and then you continued, but...
Yeah. Oh, I do apologize. Why do you say it's not immoral?
Why do I say it's not immoral for an animal to be harmed?
No, not just for an animal to harm. For me to risk the life of my child on eating meat for no reason.
Yeah. You risk the life of your child every time your child rides in a car.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Why?
Why do I risk the life of my child? Because
cars are dangerous. You're putting them in a box made of metal and glass and sending it at deadly speeds around other metal and box glass cars. The medical consensus is that getting in a car accident is dangerous as fuck. Why is your child ever riding in a car?
Well, you don't know my child rides in a car.
That's true. I shouldn't say that about your child. Why would anyone ever put their child in a car? Car seat or no? Why?
I have no idea. There's a risk in this.
Maybe it's a part of a very, very, very complicated, multi-layered, interconnected part of modern life that makes it necessary to get around. Maybe there's questions about whether or not one level of risk or another level of risk are moral, and maybe not there's questions about whether the harm to animals is different.
Is it necessary to eat meat? Is it different? Is it necessary to eat meat?
Please.
Necessary? No. It's also not necessary to drive a car.
Then I've answered your difference.
No, it's also not necessary to drive a car or travel anywhere by car.
And if it's not necessary, then don't do it.
Yeah, so don't drive a car. Don't put yourself or anyone else in a car. Don't do it.
Okay, so what has this got to do with my argument?
Your argument is based on harm to human beings, and I'm saying that, one, you've asserted that, oh, there's a medical consensus, or at least you've said, oh, the studies that I've seen and the things that medical professionals have told me have led me to believe that eating meat is that it's addictive and that it's detrimental to your health. And you, in your analogy, used cigarettes and alcohol.
Yes.
I don't believe that
eating animal products can lead to heart disease.
And
heart disease, one of the biggest killers throughout our Western society.
Yeah,
according to medical reviews.
And
so why do we still keep doing it and encouraging our children to do it? That's the question. Why do we do it?
Okay. Oh my God. And walking can lead to tripping, right? Like the fact that a thing can lead to that.
Why do we keep
because
doing it?
The fact that, this can lead to that. One, it can be a factor in the risk of heart disease. And why do you believe that is a sufficient defeater for, a person is teaching their child is feeding their child bacon on Sunday morning?
Well, I don't
so
believe
what?
That's the sole reason. Like I said,
So give me the reasons why I shouldn't then. In terms of, it'll harm the child.
Well, of course, teaching your child to do something that's harmful for its body and not understanding it, that's completely wrong. You shouldn't do that.
Okay, you're using a lot of absolute statements here that entirely avoid nuance. Something that is harmful for its body.
Well, yeah.
Anything? Going out in the sun without sunblock is harmful for your body. You're literally exposing them to radiation.
Well, depending on how much sun it is, I suppose.
No. UV is ultraviolet radiation. That's what sunburn is. It's not heat, and it's not direct light.
Yes.
It is radiation from the sun. That's why you get skin cancer when you burn your skin enough.
It was just a joke.
No, it's not. I'm serious. It's also not necessary to be in direct sunlight. Why would you ever teach your child to go out into the sun, to go sunbathing, to not walk around with an umbrella and sunblock? Why would you do that? Why are people still teaching their children to do that? I've just made a point. The scientific consensus is in more solidly than it is on meat.
My point. All you do is prove my point. We are in a world of sin. We shouldn't be doing that.
Do you believe that it is immoral for a parent to tell their child that they should go run around outside in the sunlight?
Without proper protection and knowing what the sun can do, yes.
Without proper protection, wow, is any amount of sunlight safe with any amount of protection?
I don't understand the question.
So is there any amount of sunlight that a parent can be morally justified in allowing their child to be exposed to? Any amount at all?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
So, I'm sorry, is it ever moral in your mind for a parent to teach their child that it is okay to go out in the sunshine?
Without protection and understanding, no, there's no morality. That's not moral, no.
How much protection and understanding is necessary? How much protection? An umbrella? How thick?
I don't know.
How much ultraviolet sunblock? The kinds of arguments that I'm giving you, where it's give me the fucking details, are the kinds of arguments that I wish people would throw back in the face of a vegan that says, oh, if you've ever touched meat, you're immoral and full of sin now. I feel like we should probably continue the rest of this discussion next week.
I think I'm putting a hard line on
because I think we've gone on this for 20 minutes and there's more details needed. So I'm going to go ahead and end this call, Cal. I think it was we got to some places that were good, and maybe I'll talk to you next week. Maybe Eric will murder me.
I am murdering him.
Would you be able to do that?
Yeah,
say
not
your
if
last
I murder
words.
him first. Sorry.
Would you be able to answer the question I asked you earlier before we go?
Which question is that? Probably not in seconds.
Is it moral to feed a child something that we know can lead to extreme harm?
You've provided insufficient detail in the question.
We're done. I'm jumping in and we're done. Cal.
That's the drop button.
No, I'm going to say something. You're going to deal with it. Cal, can you hear me?
That's not the world.
Cal, can you hear me? Cal, when you're on my show, when you're on our show, you do deal with it that way or you hang the fuck up, right? So listen, I'm jumping in. I've had my time. I'm going to pop you on hold if you don't shut up. Cal, 3, 2, and he's on hold. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to say again, this is Talk Heathen, not Talk Vegan. Please send your vegan hate mail to president@atheist-community.org. He is the president for another year, so you absolutely have to go. Don't send that shit to me. Cal, are you done talking? Are you ready to listen?
Sorry, sir, what was you saying?
Oh, perfect. This is an asinine argument. This is an asinine argument that does not belong on this show. So you came in, started talking. Shut the fuck up, Cal, and listen. Okay, now you're dropped. And you don't get to come back on anymore. You're done. You're done. You're done. Because here's the thing. Jamie, I love you, buddy. You had some great arguments. The conversation started about a deity, about sin, about God, and saying that the sun is God.
I'd like to point out that I brought it full circle because I got him to admit that his God that gives life also gives skin cancer.
Also in an abstract, it doesn't
entirely
matter.
Immoral for you to expose your child to his God.
That's a weird jab that has nothing to do with the fact about whether or not gods exist.
His entire system of belief and statements are a weird jab to his face.
Fuck.